Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This is a pickups video. Um, this might be a bit of a long one actually, bit behind from making pickup vids. You know, if you've seen my my update video, you would know the reasons why. So I've got a nice little selection of games here. Mostly stuff that I've bought online. As well as some stuff that I've gotten from other YouTubers, and a couple of things that I also bought out and about as well. Nice selection of stuff here, all games and gaming related items. So yeah, let's just get started. First thing I have here, and this is something that I was really excited to find. I found out about this particular item. It's a book, gaming related book, and I found out about this particular book on YouTube from another YouTuber, and I went straight on Amazon and I picked it up. And that is the Hardcore Gaming 101 presents Castlevania. And what this is, basically, this is an unofficial retrospective look at the entire Castlevania series. So that it basically goes from the NES original, covering all the different ports of Castlevania, going all the way up to Lords of Shadow 2. It's very comprehensive. I mean, they've pretty much. This is a fantastic read. If you are a fan of Castlevania, then I definitely recommend checking this book out. I may actually do another video sort of going more in depth into this book, but obviously for the limit of this video, try to keep this. Don't want to let this video go on for too long. I won't go too much into it, but I can give you a little list here of the games that are covered. So you've got Castlevania, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania Chronicles, Castlevania Dracula X, the PC Engine version, Castlevania Dracula X SNES version, Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles, which is the PSP version, Castlevania Bloodlines, which is the new generation that came out on the Mega Drive. And you've got Castlevania on the N64, and of course you had the follow-up Legacy of Darkness, and then you've got the GBA games, Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and then you've got Harmony of Despair, which was like an online game, and of course the Lords of Shadow series. But this book also covers the original Game Boy games as well. And it goes even much further than that. They even cover the obscure arcade game that only came out in Japan, as well as they also cover like certain Castlevania clones as well, which is very interesting to read. I mean, they even cover Master of Darkness, which is a game that I own on the Master System, and it's a really good Castlevania clone. Brilliant game. So yeah, I highly recommend this book, guys. You can buy it on Amazon. It goes for around 12 quid. It just came out quite recently. It's not official. There are some minor issues I have with this book. Nothing big, but I'll sort of make a separate video on it just to sort of go into more in depth. But for now, yeah, definitely recommend it, guys. That is the Hardcore Gaming 101 presents Castlevania. Next game I picked up here. This is a game that I picked up in the wild. It's a Game Boy Advance game, Loose Cart. I popped into my I popped into this store. This is a shop that it's a bit of a weird one, because it's a shop that I hadn't really stepped in there since the mid-90s. I mean, seriously, like I hadn't really been in there since I bought like my first PlayStation 1 games there when I bought my PS1. I bought a couple of used games there back in the mid-90s here. And I hadn't really been in there since. Now, for whatever reason, I sort of got the impression that they didn't really sell games there anymore, because they don't really front themselves as a game shop. They're mostly They sell sort of musical instruments and other electronic equipment. The only reason why I popped into the shop was I just happened to be walking by near the store, and I look into the window and I see a couple of boxed Super Nintendo games. Now the games that were on display didn't appeal to me. I mean, I'll tell you what they were. The one was Cybernator, which I've already got, so that's no good to me. And they had Mystical Ninja for the Super Nintendo, boxed and complete. I imagine it's complete. It was definitely boxed. I'm not really interested in that game, but obviously, you know, it made me think, you know, maybe they've got other retro games inside. So I popped my head in, asked the guy if they had any more in the back. They said, yeah, they do. They have more further back in the store. So I went inside, and sure enough, they had a display case with a bunch of Super Nintendo games, Game Boy Advance games, Mega Drive games, Dreamcast games, and so on and so on. I had a good look around, but unfortunately there was nothing there that I really wanted. It was mostly made up of sports games and stuff of that nature. Nothing really that was catching my eye. But one of the first things I always do when I go into a place that sells retro games, and I always look at the loose carts of Game Boy Advance games. Just generally because I've got a very keen eye when it comes to Game Boy Advance games. It tends to be a library that not a lot of people are that familiar with, so I tend to be quite good at picking out rare games, because most people don't seem to know what is rare on the Game Boy Advance. It's just one of those libraries that people just aren't quite sure about. So unfortunately there was nothing there that was particularly rare, but there was one game that caught my eye. This is a game that I actually do already have boxed and complete, but for the price I thought I'd pick it up because it's actually a really good, it's a shoot 'em up, really good game, and that is the Robotech Macross Saga. This is basically a horizontal shoot 'em up set in the Robotech / Macross universe. Essentially, you pilot a jet fighter that's able to turn into a robot, and it's really cool. It's just a decent shoot 'em up. Like I say, I've already got it boxed and complete, but I picked it up for £3, and I thought, well, you know, I probably might use it as trade fodder, just sort of pass it on to someone on YouTube if they want it, because it's a really good game, and it's definitely one that I think it should be in people's GBA library. So yeah, it's a decent little game to find. Let's see here. Moving on to some online purchases. I picked up a couple of GameCube games here. Now, as most of you already know, I recently got a Wii console, and I've been really enjoying it. And of course, the Wii has backwards compatibility with the GameCube. Now, I've always wanted to play some of the games on the GameCube, but there's not a lot of games that I'm really that interested in. But there are three titles on the GameCube that I do want to own. That's it, just 3 games. And I have 2 games here that I did want to have. And the first one I picked up is Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. This is a really, really cool game. I actually owned this game before, back when I very, very briefly had a GameCube. Unfortunately, the GameCube wasn't working, so I had to return it. And this was the game that I sort of bought to test out the system. I then eventually sold it on, which I kind of wish I didn't, but because actually it's a really good game. But at the time, I didn't think I was going to get another GameCube. It was just because of the experience I had with the seller that sold me the GameCube. It just really put me off, and I decided to just not bother anymore. But yeah, so I had this game previously, and I was able to play it briefly, but unfortunately, like I said, the GameCube was faulty, so I had to return it. But from what I did manage to play with this game, I really did enjoy it, so I wanted it back. And it's a fun game. This is a game that was made by Sonic Team, and I find it to be just a very cool, enjoyable 3D platform where you sort of play as this character that sort of gets sent to like this magical chicken world. He gets given this sort of chicken suit that allows him to sort of have these different sort of chicken related powers, and the main bulk of the game is you sort of have to push giant eggs through the levels, taking out enemies, going through these You basically have to do things in a certain way. It's almost like a puzzle game. It's like a puzzle platformer game. Nothing too taxing. It's a 3D puzzle platformer. Really is a lot of fun. I do think this game is really underrated. Yeah, it's just a very, very enjoyable game, and it was an exclusive for the GameCube. It never came out on any other system. And yeah, so I'm really, really happy to pick this one up. And the other game I got here for the GameCube, and this is a game that I've wanted to have for ages. I've always wanted to have this game. There are really two games that are like absolute must-haves on the GameCube, in my opinion, and this was one of them. And I've always wanted to own this game, but of course I never thought I was going to get it because, you know, I didn't think I was ever going to get a GameCube. But obviously, you know, as soon as I got that Wii, this game went straight back on my radar, and I'm very, very happy to get it. And that is Ikaruga. Fantastic shooter. I'm not really that big into shooters, which you might find hard to believe. And I only say that because if people that have followed a lot of my pickup videos know that I have quite a lot of shooters in my collection. I don't dislike the genre, not at all. I do enjoy it very much, but I'm more of a fan of 2D fighters, in terms of sort of more pick up and play style games. But I do like my shooters. I do like them, and this is one that I've never ever played before, and it's one that I've always wanted to play. And fortunately, this definitely lived up to my expectations. This game is fantastic. I love the fact that you're able to switch between white and red. Is it? Yeah, it's white and sort of reddish color. So, you know, if the enemies fire white bullets at you, you switch into a white ship, and you're able to bypass the white bullets. But then when you see the black bullets, you kind of have to switch over. So it's like white and black, and it's a lot of fun. I think it adds a great level of strategy. But as you would expect, I'm completely shite at this game. But it's a lot of fun, and I definitely see it just sort of adds an element to the shoot 'em up that I just don't really see in a lot of other shoot 'em ups, and I definitely see why people like this game. And yeah, it's fantastic. Really, really have enjoyed this one, and I didn't actually pay for this game technically. I actually bought this game off some PayPal money that I got from selling off other stuff. So yeah, so really, really happy to add this one into the collection. Okay, moving on. I've got a couple of PlayStation 3 titles here. Two games I'm really, really glad to get, and yeah, the first one I have here. This is a 2D fighter, and it's one that recently came out, and it's an update of an already existing fighter. But when I saw the characters that they added into this game, I definitely had to pick it up, and that's Ultra Street Fighter 4. I've been playing this a little bit, and I've really been enjoying it. It's fantastic. I love the new additions. They've added Poison, who was one of the female enemies from Final Fight, as well as Hugo. Again, he's another character from Final Fight, and Rolento as well, and a couple of others. And yeah, it's brilliant. This was a budget title as well, so it wasn't expensive. It was £15, brand new and sealed from Amazon. So yeah, really, really glad to get this one. And the next PS3 I picked up is the Walking Dead Game of the Year edition. This is the point-and-click game that originally started off as a online-only release. It was sort of released in chapters, and then it was given like a full physical release. I actually already owned this game. I already own a physical copy, but I wanted to pick up the Game of the Year edition because it has one extra mission. And yeah, I really do love this game. I'm not generally a fan of point-and-click games, but this one just really did it for me. I mean, I'm a really big fan of the Walking Dead series. I read the comic books, and this is basically a spin-off from the comic. It's its own story, but it's sort of set in a comic universe, and it's fantastic. And I already have season 2 of this on pre-order, so yeah, I've already completed this again. I played through it a second time, absolutely loved it. You know, I definitely urge people to check this one out. It is a point and click game, but you know, like I said, I'm not really even a fan of point and click games, but I really did enjoy this. If you like good storytelling in your games, this is definitely one you should check out. Okay, next couple of games I've got here. These are two boxed and complete Game Boy Advance games. First one I picked up, and this is one game that I have spoken about in the past many times before. I've always recommended this game, but I've only ever had a loose cart of it. I've never been able to pick up a boxed and complete copy until now, that is. And I was really chuffed to get this game, actually, because it's actually very hard to get boxed and complete for a good price. Generally, when I saw it on eBay, it would tend to sort of go for around 30 to 40 pounds. Wasn't really prepared to pay that much for it. I have seen it go for a bit cheaper, but the condition of the box wasn't really worth getting. But I finally stumbled on this copy, and it was even being sold by a UK seller, which is quite rare, because number one, this game rarely ever even comes up on eBay boxed and complete, and usually when it does, it's usually from a foreign seller. So I was really chuffed when this one came up, and that is Kido Advance, Kintaro's Revenge. And this is awesome game, guys. It's a game that hardly anyone ever talks about. Essentially, it's a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up, very much in the mold of Final Fight and Streets of Rage, but there's a bit more of a puzzle element. I'd say the closest comparison I could say about this game is Dragon's Crown on the PlayStation 3. It plays pretty much just like that game, and what I mean by that is that it's not just a straight up 2D beat 'em up. I mean, in essence, yes. I mean, it's a 2D side scroller. You go around and you kick the crap out of your enemies, but it's a bit more puzzle driven, and there's more sort of a back and forth. So you do have to do some backtracking. So there is more of a puzzle element to it. It's not just like linear, just straightforward progression. You generally have to sort of go along, then you sort of enter a room, take out a few enemies, find the key, then you sort of have to come back outside, and you have to go to another place. It kind of plays like that, but the way it plays is it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and I really do enjoy it. So I was really chuffed to find this one on eBay. It's in very nice condition. I know I've got it in a Sentinel case, and I only picked it up for 12 quid complete. So I was really happy to get this game, because it was the cheapest I've ever seen it. It was in really nice condition, and it's one that I've wanted in the collection for a very long time. So I was very happy to get this one. And the next Game Boy Advance game that I picked up, and this is one that I already have. And I even already have this game boxed and complete, but the reason why I picked this one up again is because it is a gem of a title. It's one that's actually quite hard to find, and I just couldn't say no to it at the price that I want it for. How I basically came across it was, I saw an auction for this title in the US, and I just basically put a bid in. I didn't really sort of try to go after it. I just put a bid in, and I ended up winning it for a very cheap price. And that was quite lucky, because this game goes for a lot more money, and I can see this game becoming very expensive, because it was a game that was released very late in the Game Boy Advance's life cycle. It's also a game that was made by the company that does the Pokemon series. It's a 2D platformer. It's an absolute gem. It's one that I've spoken about before, and that is Drill Dozer. So I was lucky to pick this one up again. It is in good condition. It was actually in a lot better condition, but unfortunately the seller put it in a bubble mailer, in a massive bubble mailer. This box with absolutely no protection, and when it arrived, the box was all crushed. I've since managed to kind of straighten it out and stuff, but I was really upset. and because it was a shame, because this is fully complete. It's got the manuals, the inserts, the cart is in a plastic bag. It was in really, really nice condition. Also based on the pictures that I saw, but when it arrived, the box was really squashed in. I was so angry. I contacted the seller. Fortunately, the seller was, he owned up to it, and he was willing to basically refund me the money that I paid for the shipping costs. So, because this game actually, the shipping costs more than the actual game itself. So I got my postage money back, and I was still able to keep the game. And yeah, so I kind of straightened it out. I mean, I'll take it out. Maybe you can have a look. If you can just about see, you can see there's creasing here and creasing at the top, more or less. I mean, I've straightened it out. I did my best with it. It's quite damaged here. There's a few rips as well, and this was pretty much all caused because of the because of the way it was sent. I basically flattened it out. I opened up the box, flattened it, put some stuff on it just to really sort of try and straighten it all out. So I did the best I could, and it doesn't seem that bad now compared to when I received it. And obviously now putting it in a box protector, it really does. It really obviously will help maintain the shape of the game. But yeah, I know it seems weird to just sort of pick another copy up, but normally I would never do this. But I really love this game so much. I absolutely, I play it quite a bit. It's such an enjoyable game. Essentially what it's like, you sort of play this little girl that sort of walks around a sort of drilling machine, and it's a 2D platformer, and you basically use the drill to sort of smash your way through obstacles and enemies, and you also use the drill to sort of cling on to hooks and stuff so you can move around the levels. It is so much fun. It is such a charming game. It plays really well, and the cartridge even has a built-in rumble feature as well. So it's definitely a title that I highly recommend people check out. Trust me guys, if you like 2D platforming games, really charming 2D platforming games, make this one a priority. It's an absolute gem, and pick it up now before it goes up in price, because like I say, this was a late release, and it's recognized as a gem. So definitely look into this one, guys. Yeah, so just happy to get this one again. And okay, moving on, I've got a little stack here of Wii titles, and I'm happy to say that I think this is pretty much all I wanted to get now for the Wii. I've managed to pick up every game that I had on my list initially, and then some. Now, you guys might remember I'd said that I wanted to keep my Wii collection at 20 games. That went out the window pretty much. I have attempted to keep it small, but there were just sort of other games that weren't initially on my list that I just wasn't expecting to get, but through recommendations and just being able to play them, I've just realised that these were really great titles that I just wanted to include. But I think, barring maybe Metroid Prime Trilogy, which is a title that I do want to get at some point, but you know, I'm not willing to just sort of splash out on that game because it does go for a lot of money. So with the exception of that one game, this little lot here pretty much ends my collection for the Wii. And with all the titles that I've managed to accumulate for it so far, I am perfectly happy. They're all brilliant games. It's a nice, tight set of games that I know I'm going to enjoy. And yeah, so really happy to get these ones. First one I picked up was Ghost Squad, another light gun shooter. Brilliant game. Yeah, so basically this game, along with a few other light gun shooters, were basically some of the extra editions that I wasn't initially planning to get. when I initially made my list, but after playing one, I just really enjoyed it, so I wanted to pick up the rest. So Ghost Squad basically is the last of the light gun shooters that, in my opinion, are worth picking up. And this is a brilliant game, a lot of fun, and yeah, so glad to get this one in the collection. And the next game I picked up here, picked it up on eBay. This is another title that actually pretty much all these games, this next lot of Wii games, I haven't paid for any of them. These were all games that I was able to use the money that I'd basically got from selling off some of my other games that I didn't want in my collection. So the first one I got here is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Always wanted to get this game. This was definitely on my list, and this copy in particular is in really nice condition. It's fully complete, and it even comes with the Wii points. They're unscratched. So yeah, really chuffed to really chuffed to get Twilight Princess. I've always wanted to play this game in the Zelda series. I'm not a massive fan of Zelda, but there have been a few games in the series that I've really wanted to play, and this is one of them. I really like the look of this game. I wasn't really a fan of sort of like the more cutesy ones like Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass and those sorts of Zelda games. I like the more serious art style, so this is definitely one that I wanted to check out. So very happy to add this one in the collection. And then of course I had to pop into Argos because this one was being sold for $9.99, and that is the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now initially this wasn't on my list, but for $9.99, brand new and sealed from Argos, definitely had to pick this one up. And I mean, I still like the art style to this one. This one does look really good. I know it's had more of a mixed opinion from people, but it looks fantastic to me, so it's definitely one that I'm looking forward to playing at some point. And the next title, again, this was a game on my list, on my initial list, so I'm really glad to pick this one up. Again, picked it up on eBay, and that is Super Paper Mario. Looks like a lot of fun. A great sort of puzzle platformer type game, so yeah, look forward to trying this one out. And the last game for the Wii here, really chuffed to pick up this game. I found out about this game from Scott, Sega Saturn Land. He was the one that pointed it out to me. He also recommended this game to me. At first I wasn't too sure if I was going to pick it up, but then I sort of looked into it a bit more. It's a Konami title, it's a racing game, it's an arcade racing game, and I don't have any races for the Wii, so I figured I would just pick this one up. Apparently from what I've been told, it's quite a rare game, doesn't really come up much, and it goes for quite a bit as well, even used. But I picked this one up on eBay, and I got it for a good price. Initially, the seller had it as a buy it now for £25. He had a make it offer option, so I gave him an option of 15. He countered me with 22. I countered back with 20, and he accepted. So I was really chuffed with that. And the game is the GTI Club Super Mini Festa. This is basically a arcade racing game from Konami, where you sort of drive around the little Mini Coopers. And I haven't played it yet, I haven't tried it out yet, but it looks great. It's nice, great arcadey title. And again, you know, I used my PayPal money, so I didn't, you know, none of this, didn't really spend anything on it. So I was really chuffed to get this one in the collection as well. And like I say, this pretty much, with the exception of Metroid Prime Trilogy, this pretty much wraps up all the games that I wanted to get for the Wii. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the stuff that I've managed to get from YouTubers. Some really great stuff here. Awesome stuff. First thing I wanted to show you guys, and this is a game that I got as a trade from Lee, aka Retro Fusion, aka Cube Meister General. Basically, he initially actually offered this game to me. He'd recently picked up a box copy of the game, so he had a spare loose cart. He knows it was a game that I was looking to get, so he just sort of asked me if I wanted it. But it just so happened I actually had a spare cart of another game I knew he didn't have, so I basically said, you know what, mate, let's just do a straight up trade. So we traded, and the game that he gave me was Sigma Star Saga. This is a really cool and very interesting Game Boy Advance game. Essentially, it's a horizontal shoot 'em up and RPG. It's like a top-down RPG with shoot 'em up elements, and I've played it a little bit actually, and it's alright. It's a pretty decent little game. So, you know, it's definitely one that I wanted to add to the collection. So yeah, really chuffed with this one, man. So cheers, Lee, for this. And the next thing I got here, and this is actually, I was really chuffed to get actually. I got this from 2E UK, Stu. And basically, if you've seen his videos lately, he's been able to get some accessories for the Wii for very cheap. So, you know, being the nice guy that he is, he basically said, look, if any of you guys want this stuff, you know, I'd be willing to go and pick up a bunch of them, you know, and you know, you just basically pay the price that I'm paying for it, plus postage, of course, you know, and I'll just send it to you. So, you know, obviously, you know, I have a Wii, so I was really chuffed to get this for this price. And what basically I just bought off him was the House of the Dead's hand cannon. Have been playing House of the Dead with this, and it's fantastic. Really, I love the feel of this. It just really adds to the game, and it basically cost me $1.99 plus postage. Essentially, basically what it costs Stu. So, thank you very much, Stu, for going out of your way to pick these up. I know he's done it for a few other YouTubers as well. So yeah, really chuffed to get this. This is definitely a peripheral worth owning for the Wii. And finally, the last two titles I have here are two boxed and complete Super Famicom games. Now, these games I've actually had in my possession now for quite a few months. I've had them for about 3 months here. A while back, you might remember that Craig, who goes by the YouTuber name of Craig's Here Again, quite a well-known YouTuber. I mean, he doesn't make any videos really, but he is quite a presence on YouTube. He's around. Most people know who he is. And he did actually put out a video of games that he had in his collection that he just sort of wants to sell on. As Craig is more into his arcade machines. I mean, he's got a ton of arcade machines that in his warehouse or his shop. I don't know where that is, but he's got a load of arcade machines. He seems to be picking them up like they were nothing. But he also has a sizable console collection, and he decided he wanted to trim down his collection. And he's got a whole. He's mostly into Japanese games, and he was trimming down his Super Famicom collection, and these two titles immediately caught my eye. So I got in contact with Craig, and Craig is such a top bloke. Honestly, I mean, he really did me a favour with these games, and I'll explain to you as I go into it. But the two games that caught my eye were the Return of Double Dragon, also known as Super Double Dragon, and I'm not going to get it out of the box protector because it will just take too long, but it is in really nice condition, and it's definitely one that I've been trying to get on the PAL Super Nintendo, but I've been trying to get it boxed, and it just goes for a lot of money. I mean, even this goes for quite a bit of money. But I managed to work out a deal with Craig, and I got it for a really good price. So there was that one. and I also got Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems, which again is a very, very pricey title on both PAL and even the Super Famicom. This one isn't as in nice condition as Double Dragon. Double Dragon is virtually mint. This one, man, I don't know if you can really tell, but it has a bit more edge wear to it. There's also like a sort of like a dent on the top of the box here that also unfortunately was dented in, like it pierced the lid, so there is actually like a hole in it. But honestly, the deal that Craig gave me with these two games was fantastic, below the going rate. So, you know, I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for them because that's between me and Craig, but rest assured I got it for a very, very good price, and I'm very, very happy to get both these titles in the collection. But what I want to say was, as I was saying, I had these games in my collection for about 3 or 4 months, and the reason why I had them for so long was because, before I even showed them in any videos, was because I hadn't paid for them yet. And essentially what happened was, once I sort of got in contact with Craig, just to let him know what games I wanted, Craig was like, yeah, no problems, I'm going to send them off to you. We'll sort of, you know, we'll settle on a price at another point or whatever. So I'm like, okay, mate, no worries. So he just sort of sent them to me. And like, I hadn't heard back from him for a while. It'd been about, I think, about a month, and I hadn't heard anything back. Like, he hadn't mentioned the price to me or nothing like that. So I thought I'd get in contact with him, and I sort of said to Craig, Craig, you know, so how much do you want for these games? You haven't gotten back to me. You haven't said anything, you know. And he was like, oh yeah. I'll tell you what, mate. Let me get back to you. I'm going to find out, you know, what the prices are, and I'll sort of come back with the price, and I'll get back to you on it. And again, you know, like about another month went by, another month or so, up until very, very recently, he got in contact with me and said, oh yeah, I just remembered, you know, I know you've got the games and stuff, so like, you know, this is what I want for them. And you know, Craig, you know, man he is, you know, he's very fair with his prices, and I just said, yeah, cool, mate. You know, I didn't even want to hang with him because honestly, the prices were what I was expecting. You know, like, that's Craig. You know, he's pretty much that. He's a mates rates kind of guy. So I'll give him a lot of props for that. And yeah, he did me a solid deal. And yeah, so I paid for them. And so yeah, here they are. So I didn't want to show them before because you know, they weren't technically mine yet. So now that I've paid for them, now I've got them, and now I'm showing them to you. So really, really chuffed. These are two awesome additions into my Super Famicom collection. So that's it. Actually, that's pretty much all the pickups that I've managed to acquire. Most of those were actually bought a month ago. Some of these should have really have been part 2 of my last video, but as you guys have heard from my previous video, I had some back problems that kind of delayed me from making any videos, so I'm only getting around to all this stuff now. But you know, and of course I've added since. But yeah, really, really chuffed with all these games. I can't wait to really get stuck into a lot of them. Yeah, so very, very happy with that. And before I go, there is one thing I did want to show you guys, and that is this t-shirt. Now, essentially what it was, a while back I went into game and I bought Super Mario Galaxy 2 from there, and they sort of gave me this t-shirt for free. Essentially they're doing a promo for the new game that's coming out from Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil. He's got a game coming out called The Evil Within. So they were giving out free Evil Within t-shirts. Now, I was going to keep this t-shirt, but unfortunately the t-shirt is a large, and I'm a very, very big guy. A large will not fit me. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to give this t-shirt away to any of my subscribers. All you've got to do is basically write down in the comment section that you want this t-shirt, and I will send it to you free of charge. So yeah, there are conditions though. You do have to be a subscriber, and you do have to be someone that I kind of know, that kind of posts regularly comments regularly on my channel. If I don't really know who you are, you're not going to get it, unfortunately, guys. I wanted to give it to someone that, you know, I've had some sort of communication with, people that I generally interact with. So if you do interact with me and I know who you are, just tell me you want this t-shirt and I will send it to you. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really do appreciate everyone that sits around and watches this video. I know this video is pretty long now. It's probably gone 40 minutes. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will be back very soon. Bye-bye.